It's really strange why this is happening, Kirti. Okay. So I've actually added you to the video.
We can try if it works.
Yeah,
Can you see me?
I can see you. But this is so
But
strange,
I
no?
don't
Like,
see you. I see a wall. I don't see you.
okay, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, now. But this is really strange. Here, Axel, now maybe you can try joining both the ladies.
I don't think so. Maybe I have to go out.
No, why?
But it
Can't
no,
three people be in a live?
no, I don't think so. So I'm gonna go out because all the people from my page are also joining in.
Okay, hey guys,
Hi
that's
guys.
me and Kirti. Okay, so
Me.
actually we are getting connected, but the strange thing is that Axel is accepting the request to get connected, but he's not somehow able to connect it. It could be a
I think
connectivity issue at his
internet.
end.
Yeah, I think there's a connectivity issue. Hi. It's a connectivity issue at his end.
Yeah, yeah.
So too
Okay.
bad.
So too bad. Next week, then I'm gonna have to ask him to maybe join from a place where there's better connectivity, or maybe I'll
Yeah.
just record this video with him on Zoom and post it on Instagram. I think that
I
will
think
make more sense.
okay. Great.
Okay, Kirti.
Bye. See you.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more time with Axel. Axel, it seems there's a connectivity issue between you and me, because of which you're not able to join this live. We will try once again. Otherwise, you and I will record this video on maybe Zoom or another channel. And
Hello.
hi, Axel, finally. Okay,
It takes forever to build up this connection.
I'm not able to see your face,
It
Axel.
says, can you see me?
Yes, now I can see you, and I can see all the lovely paintings and yeah,
But
Kirti,
I hardly
Axel's
can
on.
hear you.
Yeah.
This is the pits. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but we can't see you, so you'll have to
But I can
readjust.
hardly hear you.
Okay, so
What? Shoot.
take your time, Axel. No worries.
I can hardly hear you. I don't know where the volume goes up here.
Actually,
I never had a problem like this, but this is Instagram. I don't know. But apparently I'm the only one.
I think we will send them
How
some feedback, Axel. Maybe it could be.
do I raise the volume on this iPad?
Yeah, maybe it
I
could
know
be
how
the
to do
volume on
this
your
on.
iPad.
Oh, here.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Wonderful.
You hear me?
Yes, we hear
You
you,
hear me?
Axel. We hear you.
Oh
Thank
my
you so
God!
much for
I'm so
joining.
sorry.
No problem
I'm
at all.
so sorry.
No problem at all, Axel.
Every
Thank you.
system is different. This takes forever to build up.
Yes. But thank you so much for joining, Axel. Thank you so much for joining. So as I
Well,
said,
I don't know whether you want someone impractical like me to have on your program.
not at all, Axel. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting conversations we are going to be having on Instagram. This is going to be, I feel, one of the most insightful Instagram lives and probably the beginning of a very big revolution in India. And you know that I've been thinking about plastic waste, and I've started doing some work around it. And I wanted to bring you on this Instagram live and get some insights from you. Also learn more from German history, GIZ's involvement in the Aviral project here in India, and any other ideas you have around how India can manage its waste, and also on how India can manage cleaning the rivers that we have here. So these are some of the ideas that I have discussed with you earlier and shared with you over our email correspondence. And just very quickly, I'd like to introduce you once again to my friends who have joined, and also to the people who will be watching this video as this gets posted on IGTV and YouTube in the days to come. So Axel is an international lawyer with over 50 years of experience. He's an alumni of the Columbia Law School, where he had the experience of studying with actually studying from Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of my personal heroes. And then he worked in New York for several years. He's had his own international practice. He continues to advise on international arbitration and cross-border transaction disputes. He understands how the world works. He understands how the corporations and the government works. And he's really able to see through the design of our world today. And, as we set out to start this movement for change in India, and really my dream is to use my skills as a lawyer to recreate India with the help of all of you listening to this. And I'm now going to allow Axel to tell us about a little bit about German history, and perhaps some insights from German history that he can share with us, which show how the power of people can truly bring a change. So Axel, please, could you please share some of your insights with us? We are waiting to hear you.
Well, thank you, Pritika. It's my great pleasure. Also, as a friend of yours and of India, I've grown very fond of India, the Indian people in particular, over the years, having gone there, visiting every year since, I think, some 10 years or so. Let me start with positive note. After the war, many rivers in Germany were really completely polluted, especially in the very west, in the industrial area. As children, we weren't even allowed to go near them. Today, you can drink from them. So that shows that if you do it, you can be successful. You have to put yourself to it, and I think it is the people. All power in every society, I think, and that's the basic approach of modern democracies, must come from the people. And the people in various functions. For example, going to the plastic problem as consumers. If you stop buying plastic things, then the manufacturers, who are across the board still extremely irresponsible from my point of view, profit-oriented and period. Everything else doesn't count. They publish nice things, glossy brochures, how they are involved and interested in the well-being of society, but the reality is other. And so one has to educate the consumer with regard to plastic, for example, not to buy plastic, just don't buy it. And at the same time, try to force the producers of plastic to discontinue producing plastic of the kind that pollutes, because there's, of course, the kind that is good. You cannot, society these days can't function without plastic, but we no longer want plastic bottles, and definitely we no longer want people to throw them away.
Yes.
Which brings me to the waste management. Germany has a fairly elaborate one. It's maybe not the most effective one. Perhaps the countries in Scandinavia are more effective, but it is a beginning that you separate the plastic from the paper, from the rest of your garbage. And that then will be treated. But the best treatment is when there is none necessary. So we must do away with plastic bottles, for example. But how do you do that with people that are not well enough educated or that simply are too poor to carry things out? The poor people, and I think that's one of the problems in India, in addition to the sheer size of the population, anything in the environmental field, CO2, etc., will not work, or nothing will work without India. India needs to be in there, as does China. But India is the largest population now and still growing. So without India taking care, for example, of its CO2 household, we will be doomed. So we have to find a way and to motivate the people. I think that's the more important or more effective way, because unfortunately, and that includes countries like Germany too, before the politicians move, it takes forever. Whatever the reasons, there are reasons for that, but we don't need to discuss that here. But the people have the power. And so, and I end with this other example. In Germany, 20 years ago, we demonstrated that a peaceful, non-violent revolution is absolutely possible. And I hope the same thing is happening right now and will be successful in Belarus. And by the way, in all of that, women played a pivotal role. Speaking of important women, so back to you, Pritika.
Thank you, Axel. And, I just want to talk a little bit about what happened in Germany in 1990, if that's the year when when East Germany and West Germany united because of the peaceful protests in East Germany. And that's the time there were many concerts around the wall. There was Bruce Springsteen who played. There was David Bowie who played, and there were people who cheered. And finally, it's the people who won. And I think that, to my mind, is one of the best examples of how people can come together and bring a change without violence. And of course, your Indian freedom movement is also one example there. But Axel, were you in Germany while all of those protests were happening? Were you a part of those protests? Did you have friends who were part of it?
Yeah, I have friends. At that time, I still lived in Paris and had just become a father. So that sort of helped me back. The baby I found too exciting, and I regret very much that I didn't go. But it would have been easy for me, having friends here and being able to stay with them. So, but I followed it, of course, on television, and the world covered it.
And it must have been such an exciting moment, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's heartwarming to see that big change, any change, I would say, can be done without violence.
Without violence.
It can be done through just the sheer energy of the people that do this peacefully.
Right.
I think peaceful energy is much stronger than violent energy anyway.
Any day, any day.
So that must be the message. That must be the message. No violence.
No violence.
No.
Not at all.
I mean, violence by definition destroys, but we want to build something.
Absolutely.
Something new, something better.
Absolutely. And so, Axel, present day on ground, what is the plastic situation in, say, Germany, in Berlin? Are the manufacturers like Coke and PepsiCo still selling Coke in plastic bottles there, in non-recyclable plastic? Would you have information about this? Or are they using more biodegradable forms of plastic in Germany now?
well, I think the plastic bottles that are non-recyclable practically don't exist anymore. And in many stores, especially the so-called biological stores that sell biologically sane and safe products, there's no plastic bottles at all any longer. We return to glass bottles, and they are on consignment, so you have to pay something, or rather, you get something back when you take them back. And same for yogurt and all kinds of things that you can buy in a container. It's more often glass container than plastic containers, and those that are plastic, I think they are sort of biodegradable. But there are new technologies coming forward, I understand, with substances that are not plastic and sort of have similar qualities, but are biodegradable. That's the big, as you know, the big really tragical problem with plastic is it stays around forever, and it does separate, into even microscopically small pieces, but they're still there, and you drink them with the next bottle without knowing. You inhale them even. So plastic has to go.
It has to go. On this note, Axel, there's something I want to share with you. So India has come up with very good plastic waste management rules, and they have brought in this concept of extended producer responsibility in there, where they're expecting producer companies like PepsiCo and Coca-Cola and Kellogg's, all of whom package their products in any sort of plastic containers. They have put the responsibility on them to use recyclable plastic or to transition to compostable plastic, and also to collaborate with the local authorities here, the municipalities, to help them develop plans for collection and waste management. And these rules came out in 2016, and these companies had to submit their plans for collaboration with the municipalities by 2018. From my diligence on what is available publicly, it seems that none of them have complied till now. On this note, what do you think about this problem, and do you think that they can be taken to court in their to various courts and tribunals in their country of origin, because they're also not complying with the laws in India?
I think so. But as you know, being a lawyer yourself, these are very long procedures, and I think the more effective way is to take them by their responsibility. Make sure, and again, the consumer is king and queen. When the consumers no longer buy things, that's it for even the largest companies. So we have to again use people power. And yeah, people's power, peacefully, of course. But we have, for example, also a problem right now. I mean, it came up. It has been around for quite some time with slaughterhouses for pork. Terrible conditions, both for the pork as well as the people that work there. And of course, with Corona, I don't need to go into any details. So stop buying cheap pork products. Those wrapped in plastic, by the way. Buy from the local producer who slaughters himself his pork, and that will make the problem go away. If you no longer buy their products, they have no longer any profits, and they will be the first to stop.
That is the solution, I feel, mass awareness. And for India, there's a peculiar challenge because there are just so many languages that are spoken across the country that this message that we have started delivering on Instagram about a month ago, we will have to ensure that this message penetrates to the masses, the correct information, so that they are sensitized into making the right choices and saying no to these products that are packed in plastic. And I can actually see this happening in the future, Axel. And I see that these lives and the friends who are joining these lives is only the beginning of a very peaceful revolution to change, where the first issue that we've taken up is plastic waste management. And on this note, Axel, I'd like to move to the next idea I have in mind. I heard about GIZ, which is an international development agency based out of Germany, about its involvement in a project called Aviral in India. And GIZ is working with the Alliance Against Plastic, which is basically a conglomerate of over 50 companies that deal in plastic around the world. These two entities have come together and formed a private entity here in India, which is running a project called Aviral, which has taken on the responsibility of cleaning Ganga. So on this note, I just wanted to understand if you have some insight on how GIZ works and how GIZ will be able to help India sort out its plastic waste problem especially in the Ganges River. Do you have some insight into this, Axel?
Not specifically in GIZ, but I know about these projects and I know about the technologies that are available. And cleaning Ganga, as a matter of fact, it has been a subject I have been discussing with friends in India for some years already. Yes. And of course there, like with the example of the German rivers, including the largest river, it's not just a German river, the River Rhine, coming from Switzerland, going to Germany, going to the Netherlands, etc. There too, the fish have come back. Most of the varieties have come back. You can safely swim in there in terms of water quality. So it can be done. Cleaning, amazing, therefore, means in the first place, preventing waste to go into it. The waste that is there already, and there is so much, as you know, and it eventually ends in the oceans, should, of course, be removed. But the very first thing to do is to make sure the waste doesn't go in there anymore. And as far as educating the people is concerned, I think even less educated people, poor people to be precise, I think they will understand the best way to make them understand what the issue is to explain to them that they have to do this for themselves, for their own sake and health, but especially for their children's sake and health. Once that message goes through, don't use this, don't do that, because it's bad for you and you're destroying your children's future. I think that's the only way. Education in that direction. Health concern, not just for yourself, but in particular for your children. Every person who has a child, you have one, understands this.
That's right, Axel. So what I'm taking from this is that naturally education is the solution to this problem, and education of the masses. And this is something that I'm going to work on with my team. We're going to try and look at mediums to educate the masses on this account especially. And I also see that if Germany could clean its rivers, like you mentioned that when you were a child, you weren't allowed to get close to those rivers, and now you can swim in those rivers. So I also see a lot of hope here. Because GIZ is a German entity and it must be having a lot of experience in this area. So I'm very happy that they have come into India to work on this project. I'm sure we will gain from the German experience, along with movements such as these, where we will educate the masses so that they can say no to those plastic products, so that they don't make way into the rivers any longer until we have safe management systems. And I'm hoping that this initiative is going to result in ensuring that the producer entities only use biodegradable plastics. I see it's going to take about a year or two of us moving consistently with this initiative. And I see a lot of resistance coming from the producer entities that have entities in India. Why? Because it seems that the cost of migration from non-recyclable plastic to biodegradable plastic is very, very high. So that is, I feel that's one of the main reasons that they haven't made that transition in India. But I feel it's time that they do it now, and we will make sure that they do it, because we'll keep talking about it. So that's really the idea, Axel. And I'm just seeing if there is, if there are any other points that I want to discuss with you. Also, Axel, like, what do you think about the producer's responsibility to collaborate with the government authorities to sort out this plastic waste mess that's making its way into the rivers, that's making its way into our food, that's making its way into what even our pet animals are consuming, that's making its way into the oceans around the world? So then, like, how do you feel about this? Do you feel that it is these producer entities should be made responsible to work with the government to sort out this menace?
Well, they have to take their responsibility. That's for sure. Whether they have to work with the government or not, and to what extent, that's I think is a practical matter. But they have to, and you just said the key thing, they have to realize, understand, and change from profit only to benefit for the people, for its own customers, and customers recognize that. I've been very impressed negatively by the many examples I've seen in my professional life, how unintelligent producers sometimes are, underestimating, like politicians do with the voters, underestimating the intelligence of their customers or their citizens, and because customers are prepared to pay more if they know that they can trust the producer. If they know that they can trust the producer as to the quality of its products, and that they, to come back to the plastic problem, that they are making a serious and maximum effort to stop that, stop using plastic. But speaking of rivers, Pritika, there's also a lot of other waste that goes into the rivers, and the rivers in Germany, they had no plastic problem. Plastic didn't even exist really at that time. It is what the companies by the rivers would shed into the water. Ships, they would just throw everything overboard and into the water. So there too, and that's what they did in Europe. All those producers, industries now have filter systems, so they no longer pollute the rivers.
Right, Axel. Right.
So that's another important topic.
About the other waste that is making its way into the rivers that needs to be managed. Is that correct, Axel?
Yeah. You know all their liquid waste.
Yeah.
Used to go in India. I think it's sort of still the case. Just unfiltered goes direct into the rivers. You know, all those textile companies, for example, in Bangladesh. You know, the coloring of textiles, that requires a lot of water, and the water gets polluted, and it goes unfiltered into the rivers and then into the sea. So all those sites
Understood,
need to
Axel. Understood.
equip themselves with the necessary filter systems.
Understood.
It can be done. it can be done. It has been shown that it can be done.
Right, Axel. And as I see this, I think currently, my focus is on ensuring that the plastic waste management rules are implemented. But slowly we will move on to all the other many issues that India has to face in developing and managing its waste problems and other problems. I feel that if we are able to sort of ensure that the plastic waste management rules are implemented, this could become an example for various other changes that need to be made, even in handling, say, the liquid waste that is making into the river. I feel that if we are able to manage the plastic waste, we will be able to manage all other waste problems, because the awareness levels will increase, and people will start voicing their opinion more clearly. So I will keep even the other point that you have mentioned in mind, and we will also work on that, Axel. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us regarding this issue and regarding recreating India per se? Is there any other message that you would like to give to us and to the people of India?
Yes, I mentioned it already before, but I find it is so important, the CO2. If there's no air to breathe, then everything else you can forget. If you can no longer breathe safely, then that's going to be it. So stop coal burning. Stop coal mining, because coal mining at the same time means cutting down the forests, which we need to take on the CO2 challenge. We need as many trees as we can get and not cut them down. So I believe that is a problem in India also, that they continue to open mines, and whereas they should move to alternative sources of energy, as they're doing in Europe, for example. It is possible, and I think it's damn necessary to stop burning coal.
It is damn necessary, Axel, and I promise you I will work on that as well. And I'm just going to focus on the issue at hand, the issue that I've chosen to focus on for the next 3 to 6 months. And once we get things rolling on this project, this will become an example even for us, to sort of take charge of all the other problems that India needs to tackle. And I think it's so important for India to tackle all of these problems, because India has just gotten such a large population, and I see that what happens in India is also going to impact the rest of the world. And I really hope that, people of the world support us in bringing around this change. And that's the idea, Axel. I'm just going to open up I'm just going to open up questions to the people who have tuned in today. In case they want to ask us something, they can probably drop in the questions here. And until then, I'm just going to quickly read what Adarsh has just shared with us. He says about Project Aviral. The reality of it is that Aviral done their work only on paper. He feels that Aviral is just a paper tiger, really. They're not doing anything. When there is any checking, then they start their machines. I'm not surprised, actually. Adarsh is in Varanasi. And this is Dasha Sumer Ghat. Thanks for sharing this, Adarsh. This is very good. A call, so my video got muted. We will certainly look into this as we go along, and we will do our diligence on Project Aviral, and who's to blame there. We will find out, and we will peacefully deal with this issue, as Axel has suggested. I also completely agree with you, Axel. The only solution is for people to take back their power and to say no to plastic. And that's the only thing that's going to push the boards of these producer companies to do the right thing. Just the last thing, Axel, that I want to share with you. So my overall strategy on implementing this project and pushing it to happen is that I have a two-pronged approach in mind. I have my team here that's working with me, that's listening into this live as well. We are working on creating mass media awareness, starting with putting out correct information and messages to the English-speaking population first. Next stage, we will move to include other vernacular languages, because it's important for this message to go out in all the languages repeatedly to the people of India, because everyone here speaks a different language in different states. So we need to really reach the heart of the masses, and for that we need to ensure that this message is taken to the remotest parts of the country. And we're going to request everyone to boycott the products of these producer companies, at least until they start following the laws and start using biodegradable alternatives to plastic. Along with that, I intend to file necessary litigations to put the necessary pressure on these companies in India. What I'm also thinking about is that most of these entities are foreign entities, and they've been given foreign direct investment registrations and approvals. A standard part of all of these approvals is that they are made to promise that they will comply with all applicable laws. As I see it, in my opinion, they're standing in non-compliance of all of these laws, which also means that the people of India can expropriate their investment, because really the government is nothing else but the people of India. So if the people of India start pushing the government will be forced to expropriate their investment, or at least send them notices. I also see that some of these entities are listed on national exchanges in maybe, for example, maybe the United States. And I also see that some of these foreign countries have put an obligation on their entities to follow international laws. So, if you're a publicly listed entity in America, for example, and you're not complying with laws of another sovereign country, I see that you're also standing in violation of American laws. So I also see possibility of filing some kind of a claim action, some kind of an action against these entities, even in their home countries. And with all of this, with all of these actions collectively, where people will exercise their power of choice, and where we will approach the necessary institutions to question these authorities, I see that's how the change will happen, Axel. And that's really the broad strategy I have in mind right now. I'm going to script it, and as we go along, I'm going to ask you for guidance and help with strategy on this, Axel. So that's the plan. I wanted to share it with you and with everyone who's tuned in, and we will be focusing on this for the next 3 months and getting all this ready.
Good. As far as the responsibility of foreign companies is concerned, of course, they use limited companies in their foreign activities. So here, one tool would be to have the parent company guarantee its obligations. So you don't have to expropriate that company, but you have a guarantee from the parent company that has a deep pocket, and that would guarantee payment of damages, the payment of fines, and so forth. And that normally, I would think, would be an obligation that you could also enforce in their home countries.
Good to know that, Axel. I'm going to look at this more closely, and I will get in touch with you one-on-one to discuss strategy on this issue. And with this, I think I'm going to wind up this live session, Axel. Thank you so much for joining, and this means a lot to me.
Thank you. It took a while. I'm sorry.
No problem at all, Axel. I'm glad we made this happen, and I hope to have you over for more of these live sessions where more people will be joining to talk about this issue and some of the other issues that I want to work on, Axel. The name of my action-based change platform is People India. The platform is www.peopleindia.com. Some of the projects that we have already started work on, me and my team, are already mentioned there. For all of you who are tuned in or will be watching this, please spread the message. please tell your friends about all of these initiatives that I and my team are taking through the platform. And thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Axel. I will be in touch with you soon. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Pritika, to you and to the others that are participated and going to. And I wish you all good luck and keep the good work up.
Thank you, Axel. I will talk to you soon. I'm going to tune out now. Thank you for your time, Axel.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.